Lisa Wells. Lisa, you can go ahead.
Kelly, real quick before Lisa goes, I did send some questions to your message, your text messages.
Yes, I have them, honey. Thank you very much. Lisa? Hear me? Go ahead, Lisa.
Hi, I wanted to thank everybody for doing this. SG9 especially. I don't really have a question. I would like to tell people that I have a good friend was contacted by his nephew who is in Space Force, and they took him into a private room. This was 2 or 3 days ago, 2 days ago. And told them that there was going to be an imminent event, that they needed to go home and talk to their families, that there would be no electricity, no communication, no gasoline, nothing, and that people would be told to stay indoors. I wanted to let you know that. Anyway, it was from a legit source, so.
Wow, incredible.
Yeah, I'm a Navy veteran of Desert Storm. I never went over. I was stateside, but still, I take the Constitution and, you know, my role as a defender of our Constitution very seriously. And it's amazing how many people, even in my church, we have a Patriot church, and so many of them, it's just like crickets. He put this group text out, and I confirmed that, yes, it was his nephew, just to be sure, and nobody said anything, except for me and him. We're the only ones talking. But it's amazing. I mean,
though they have eyes to see, yet they cannot see.
Yeah.
Thank you for your service, Ms. Wells.
Thank you very much. Anyway, that's all I had to say.
Well, that's pretty great. What do you think about that, SG?
It would seem to fit the timeline of, you know, the narrative prep that we have going. We've seen nonstop preparation for a cyber pandemic. I'm actually watching right now as we're doing this Q&A. Let me see here. The website's Live Cyber Threat. Pardon me a moment. I want to make sure that I relay this correctly to each of you. So it's the threatmap.checkpoint.com. It's the live cyber threat map, and there is just a remarkable attack happening from within the continental United States to points within the continental United States. So they're originating and ending within the continental United States. I just watched an attack go from what appears to be the central area of the United States over to Australia and one into India. So of course this is only what's available at the surface level, right? This doesn't include no-grade screening. This doesn't include dark web traffic. This doesn't include things like that. But it does, you know, sort of serve to show that the idea of a cyber threat, a cyber pandemic, some sort of cyber shutdown, which we know would have to also cascade into those technologies and those arenas of society that are affected and made possible by electronic connectivity and the internet itself. So think, you know, financial services. Many gas pumps nowadays are actually Wi-Fi enabled, and they're controlled digitally inside with an electronic switchboard. The same is true with a great many vehicles, right? So, you know, this sort of event would absolutely cause the type of circumstances that Ms. Wells was just referencing. But Q also tells us that these circumstances are coming. And there's actually a drop that is so explicit and so specific as to say that don't worry if the lights go out. Patriots are in control. So, you know, take that how you will. I think there's a certain amount of trust, a certain amount of faith that has to be put out there with something like that, because I don't think that we, the people, could really glean any more detail from these entities, right, from these individuals in these levers of power in the background and even in the foreground with President Trump, for example, and others. I don't think we could get any more detail about what they're referring to and what that might mean without tipping off the enemy and allowing the enemy to design and then implement a contingency plan that would disappoint or frustrate whatever campaign we may be seeking to launch. So And the time frame going right along with the solar eclipse that was referenced a moment ago by Lone Wolf, I think that this is quite powerful, to tell you the truth. 3/11 is coming up. March the 11th is coming up. That is one of their very significant esoteric days. It's the anniversary of the COVID pandemic emergency here in the United States. 11 days after that, 3/22, that's the skull and bones number. So, and the Ides of March sort of falls right in the middle of that, right, or just offset from the middle of that at 3/15. So these very powerful symbolic days are coming up in the month of March. The month of March is actually the end of the year. According to the old celestial calendar that we had, right, the year began on the 1st of April. That was changed in I believe it was 1782, if I'm not mistaken, by a convention that occurred in the Vatican, where the new year was then moved from April the 1st to January the 1st, further confusing us, in relation to our spiritual clock and our celestial calendar that God put in place for us. So the 1st of April being the new year, and then we have 7 days of the new year, and then we have this eclipse happening on the 8th, and with, and marrying that with the information that Ms. Wells just brought to the table, I'm very optimistic that the things we've been talking about for a few months, Patriots, are going to be coming to pass.